Hello there makers, and welcome back to the channel. In today's tutorial we'll be making this crochet collared summer top. It is worked on just 2 simple stitches, the double crochet and the slip stitch. Of course we'll be using some single crochets, especially for the bottom part right here, to just give it a little bit more of hold on the waist. The materials needed to achieve this crochet top are all linked down below. They are affiliate links, so if you choose to purchase, I will be making a little commission from that. As for the pattern, it is available in 9 different sizes from extra small to 5 extra large. So if you're not a size small, because we'll be working a size small in the tutorial, be sure to catch that. There is also a printable version available down below, so be sure to find that linked down below. Without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. Be warned, if you make the exact same number of chain that I made for this top, you're going to end up with a crop top. If you want it longer, make that chain longer. And so to begin working on your crochet top, you're going to need these 2 crochet hooks, a 5mm and a 4mm. For the body, we'll be using the 5, and for the bottom band, we'll be using the 4. So with the 5mm and your worsted weight yarn, you're going to grab the yarn and you're going to make a slip knot. Just however you make a slip knot is fine. And then you want to make a chain that goes from your underarm to where you want this chain to reach. However, if you're doing a size small like I am, we'll be making a chain of 41. So I'm just going to make the chain and I'll meet you once I'm done. So after you're done making your foundation chain, this is what it should be looking like. You're just going to put aside that 5mm crochet hook and grab that 4. Now for the whole entire row, we'll be working into the back bumps. For the first 5, we're going to use a 4mm hook to place 5 single crochets. So find the second chain from the hook and into the back bump, go on and place your first single crochet and do the very same into the next 4. You're just placing single crochets into those back bumps. If you have a stitch marker, this is where you can place it. But personally, I find it easy to locate where the single crochets begin. Now you're going to grab that 5mm crochet hook and connect it. And now we're going to work half double crochets all the way up until that last one. And into that last one, we'll be making our very first increase. So still working into the back bumps, you're just making half double crochets. You're just yarning over, inserting your hook into that back bump, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. So just like that, and you're going to keep on repeating that all the way to the top of your work, and I'll meet you there, but be sure to leave that last stitch so that we can do that increasing together. And so now I have one more stitch to complete my first row, and into that last one I'm going to go ahead and place 2 double crochets into the same last stitch. So that's my first, and going back into that same stitch or chain, I'm going to place another, and just like that we have made our very first increase. So the second row will be a row of slip stitches, but we still have to do an increase, so we're going to chain 2 instead of chaining 1 and turn. Now into that second chain from the hook, we're going to go into just the back V with a slip stitch. And then for the rest, so that first stitch has counted as our first increase, and then into the rest we're just working into the back bumps. For the rest of this top, we're going to be working into those back bumps. The aim is so that it gives us that knit look. Stitch. So I'm going to keep on doing this all the way going down, and once I reach those last 5 stitches, I will meet you there so that we can finish off together and begin the third row, and then I'll let you guys continue by yourselves. So now I have arrived at the last 5 stitches, and into those last 5, still working into the back bumps, go in with 5 single crochets. the end, you're just going to do a chain of 1 and turn. And still in the back bumps, we're going to go back with 5 single crochets. And if I lay my work like this, you're going to notice that we're starting to get that knit look stitch, which is being formed by the back loop slip stitches. So into the first 5 single crochets again. Leave that 4mm stitch aside, bring back the 5, and we're back to the half double crochets. And once we get to the top of the row, we're going to increase again, chain 2, and go back down with slip stitches. So we're going to keep doing this, and if you notice, our top up here is starting to arc. For size small, for other sizes besides small, you want to refer to the free written pattern to know how long you need to go on increasing. As for size small, we're going to do this for 7 rows, and the 7th row is going to end at the top. You're going to place that last increase, and then you're going to wait for me there. So let me just finish my 7 rows, and then I'll meet you right there. And so at the end of the 7 rows, this is what the work should be looking like. I placed my last increase right into there. And now it's time to get started on the shoulder portion. So for size small, you're just going to make your chain of 16. For the other sizes, you want to refer to the written pattern to know how many chains you need to make. So we're now back to the slip stitch row. So into the back bump, into that second row, you're going to go in with those slip stitches, and you are going to slip stitch going all the way down. Remember to switch when you reach the last 5 single crochets. And for this shoulder portion, this part is really all up to you. You can make the shoulder portion as thick or thin as you want. I want my shoulder portion to be just about the same size as this, so I'm going to work another 7 rows, normal rows this time, for the shoulder portion. So there'll be no increasing or decreasing for the shoulder area. So you go on, work your shoulder portion, follow that written pattern. If you want to make any alterations, this is the time to do it now. That's speaking for the shoulder portion. So go on, for size small, work your 7 rows. For the other sizes, refer to that free written pattern to know how many rows you need to work for your shoulder portion. I'm going to work mine off camera, and then I'll meet you once I'm done. So after you're done with the 7 rows, this is what the work should be looking like. You're now going to grab a stitch marker and place it where the written pattern tells you. For size small, you're going to place your stitch marker into the 11th stitch, counting from the top. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right into here. So what we're going to do now, work the way up. You're going to stop into that stitch right before the stitch marker, where we're going to chain 1 and turn and start working downwards. Because now we're now working our mid portion. This is our chest area. We've done our underarm, shoulder, and now we're going to do our chest area. So I'm going to work up. When I get here, I'll meet you there, so that we can now turn our work and work downwards. So now I've arrived at the stitch before the stitch marker. So what you're going to do is chain 1 and turn, and we're going to start working down with slip stitches. So you're going to work a few rows of slip stitches. If you're doing size small, you're going to do a total of 14 rows. However, 14 rows is going to end you at the bottom, and you want to go up at the top, so you're going to add an extra one of 15. I believe everybody is going to be ending at the bottom, so you're all just going to add an extra row that's going to end you back at the top. Once you get to the top, you're going to be chaining. Since we left 11 stitches here, we're going to be chaining 11 plus 1, so like 12, and work another. We're pretty much just going to work the opposite. I've already completed the front portion. This is actually for the back, so let me show you what that's supposed to look like. So this is the midsection. We're going to work the midsection. Once we get here, we're going to chain the number of chains that we left on this side. So since we left 11 chains on this side, we're going to chain 11 plus 1 to turn, so 12, and then work 7 rows just like we did here. And then remember, we had chained 16 for this side, so we're going to leave 16, well, it was 16, but it was 15 really, because the 16th was a turning chain. So we're going to leave 15 stitches on this side and do 7 rows of decreasing. So this is what your front panel should be looking like. You're just going to fold that and pause and get started on the back. So for the back panel, it's pretty much how we've been doing, how we did the front panel. The only difference is this section, this area where we were separating the front from the back is not going to be there. We're just going to continue all the way up. So where we would have this little area section, it's not going to be there. It's just going to be one big color block. So it's going to be after the 7 rows of shoulder portion. We're going to come in with the 15 rows in the middle, and then another 7 rows for the other shoulder portion, and then down to the decrease. So let me just finish off the 15 rows. I'm just going to leave a stitch marker into this row so that I should know that until this stitch marker, this is the shoulder portion. So from here on, I should have 15 rows between this stitch marker and the other shoulder portion. So let me work the 15 rows in the middle, and then I'll come right back so that I can show you. I'm going to work the 15 rows in the middle plus the 7 for the other portion, and then I'll come back so that we can decrease the other side together. So after you've done your work the whole portion of the back to get down on the underarm section, you're going to place the stitch marker on the 15th stitch, or depending on how many chains you made this side. Remember, we made 16, which one of them was the turning chain, so there's a total of 15 chains right here. So you're going to place your stitch marker in the 15 on this side, or whatever number you chained on the other side, and then you're going to get started with the decreasing. I already got started on mine. I'm on my 3rd row of decrease, and I'm just going to show you how we decrease. So still working in the back loops, you're going to be left with 2 stitches, and into those 2 stitches we're going to make 1 half double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, pull through, you have 3 loops on the hook, and then you're going to insert your hook into that last stitch. Now you have 4 loops on the hook, and you yarn over and pull through all of them, and now you've turned those 2 stitches into 1. You chain 1 and turn, and going down we need to make another decrease with our slip stitch row. To do that, you're going to insert your hook into that first stitch, yarn over and pull through. You've got 2 loops on the hook. We will not slip stitch through. We will also insert into the other stitch, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, and then you will just slip stitch through, and that's it. You've made your decrease, and then you're just going to go on decreasing downwards just like that. So you're going to decrease for the same number of rows as you increased on the other side. If you're doing a size small like I am, we're going to be decreasing for 7 rows. So I'm going to go on and finish my decreasing, and then I'll meet you so that now we can connect the 2 body portions. So you go on, decrease for whatever number of rows that's required for your size. I'm going to go on decreasing for size small, and I'll meet you once I'm done with my 7 rows. So after you're done decreasing the number of rows, this is what your work should be looking like. I haven't cut the yarn yet because we're about to connect the front and the back portion. So this is the right side, the ribbed side is the right side. When it comes to the other side, this is the wrong side. So you want to have the right sides facing each other. So you're going to take that front panel and lay it on top of that back panel. What we're doing first is seaming together the sides. So all I'm going to do is take the yarn and single crochet the sides together. Do the same thing for that side and the shoulders. So I'm just going to show you how we seam together the sides. I already have my chain of 1. So I'm just going to insert my hook into the back loop. I'm going to insert my hook into the back loop of the what's the back panel, and then insert into the first stitch of the front panel and single crochet together. I'm gonna find the next stitch and the corresponding side and single crochet together. And so I'm just gonna keep doing that for the entire seam side until they're all single crocheted together. And once you're done, you're just going to chain one and cut and do the same thing for the other side. And then I'll meet you so that I can show you how we're going to seam the shoulder portions, the shoulder panels together. So you keep doing that. This doesn't matter because it's going to be on the inside, and the outside will not even show. So you go on, keep seaming the sides together. Do that for both sides, and I'll meet you for the shoulder portion. So after you're done seaming both sides, this is what it should look like. You're going to have a lot of messy ends, but don't worry, we'll weave those in at the end. And now it's time for us to clean up the shoulders. So you're just going to lay those two ends together like that. You're going to grab your yarn and make a slip knot. That's if you're sewing the pieces with your crochet hook. If you're using a needle, you don't have to do this part. So just like that, and you want to grab your pieces. Insert your hook. Right here we're going to be working on this through the side slip stitches and half double crochets. So you may not get the perfect number of stitches, or you may not be able to see it perfectly, but that's fine. You're just going to single crochet your way across, working, sorry, I was off camera. You're going to be working into those top stitches. And just like that. So you're going to repeat that very same thing for the other side. So you're just going to chain one and cut the yarn and repeat the very same thing for the other side of the shoulder. And then I'll meet you so that we can clean the underarm and the collar, so we can get ready to work on the actual collar. So to start working on the underarm section, you're just going to put your yarn on your crochet hook and connect to the underarm area. I'm going to connect just before the little strands of yarn so that we can weave that in. I'm going to connect with a single crochet. And I'm going to take that tail together with the other tail, and I'm going to be working on top of that. So right now all we're doing is going through and cleaning up the sides, just placing a single crochet where it makes sense, pretty much. So just like that, and when it comes to the chained area, it's going to be so much easier to tell where to place your single crochet. When it comes to the increasing and the decreasing, you're just going to have to make sense of it. I am putting my hook through both strands and this is what it's coming out as. So we're just going to do that going all the way around, and then I'll meet you so that we can get started on cleaning up the collar. So now after you're done, you want to get started on the collar. So you want to identify what looks like the center of the collar for you, which for me looks like right here. And I'm going to connect my yarn. Just like that. And then I'm going to go through placing my single crochets. And if you notice, I've worked over my tail so it doesn't show on either side. And so you just want to go placing those single crochets gently around the edge. And you do this going all the way around, and I'll meet you back once you get here. Once you get here, be sure to not cut off the yarn, because we're going to use our 4mm crochet hook to begin working on the collar, which is the final part of our top. So once you've made your way all the way around, you're just going to slip stitch into that first single crochet that you made. And now you're going to make a chain. This chain will depend on how long you want your collar to be. Remember, for the chain, we're going to be using the 4mm crochet hook. I want mine to be about 15 chains long. So I'm just going to make a chain of 15. And now, working into the back bumps, we're going to skip the 2 chains. So into that 3rd chain, we're going to place our first half double crochet. We're still working the very same stitches that we've been working the entire crochet top. So you're going to place half double crochets going all the way down until you've got those last 2 stitches, because we're going to be making a decrease in there. So now here we are. I've got those. Okay, I've got 3 stitches, so let me just work in there. So into those last 2 stitches left on the hook, I'll be making off my first decrease. And remember how we've been doing that the whole time. You insert your hook into there, run over, pull through 3 loops on your hook to the last one, and pull through everything. So this is where our stitch was coming out of. We're going to slip stitch into the next single crochet of the row to connect that row. And to begin the next, we'll slip stitch into the next single crochet and turn. And we're going to go down with a row of slip stitch, and it will be a decrease again as well. So those 2 first single crochet lookalikes are the slip stitches that we made. So we're going to ignore those 2. So we're going to go into there to make our first decrease of the slip stitch row. And you'll slip stitch just like that. Once you reach the end, chain 1 and you'll turn. So you'll notice that the pattern is forming on this side of the work, which is fine because remember we're working on the wrong side. So once you turn your top the right way around, this is how your collar is gonna lay. And our ribbing is on the perfect side. If you want, you can work the ribbing on the right side, but however, working on the side that we're working on is also absolutely fine. So, chain 1 and turn, and we're going back to our double crochet row. Remember to decrease into the last 2 stitches. And slip stitch into the next available row to connect that row, and slip stitch into that. So you're going to slip stitch, you're going to slip stitch to join that half double crochet row you were doing into that next available single crochet, and to start a new row, slip stitch into that next available single crochet and turn. We're still decreasing. So remember, you're going to keep decreasing until your collar is the thickness that you want it to be for the rest, for the back portion, for the back part. I want mine to be about 6 stitches long, 6 or 7 stitches long. So I'm just going to decrease for a few more rows. And I'll meet you once I have the thickness I want my collar to be. So now I have a total of 6 stitches left on my work, which means I worked a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've worked 7 rows. So now what you're gonna do, have that stitch marker. So I worked a total of 7 rows or 7 single crochets across before I decided that's how much I wanted to decrease for my row. So what we're gonna do is go all the way around, but before we do that, you wanna count 7 stitches going this way. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Insert your stitch marker, because what this means is we are gonna work normal rows now of the collar all the way around until the stitch before the stitch marker, which is this one right here. From this stitch all the way to the last one, we're gonna do 7 rows of increase to match the other side of the collar. So from here on until the stitch marker, you want to just go on with normal rows back and forth of the collar, no increasing, no decreasing. Go on all the way around, and I'll meet you once I have worked into the last stitch before the stitch marker. So I've gone all the way around and I have reached the stitch before the stitch marker. I'm just going to remove that stitch marker. To begin the row. Now, from this stitch now that I've just connected to, we're going to start to increase right in there. So it is a slip stitch row. So I'm going to find that first stitch and place 2 slip stitches into that same stitch and go on as normal. chain 1 and turn into the half double crochet row, and at the end of that half double crochet row I will be working an increase. So these last 2 stitches are the increase I made. So into that last stitch work 2 double crochets just like that, and connect to the next available single crochet and the next, and turn back to a slip stitch row. So I will be increasing by placing 2 slip stitches into that first stitch, and you're going to do this for the rest of the stitches that are left up until you get to the last single crochet of the collar. And you should have also increased 7 rows because we decreased 7 rows on this side. So I'm going to meet you once I am done so that we can cut the chain together and seam in the ends. So after you're done, you just want to do a chain up of 1, pull slip stitch into that center. If you ended at the top here, you can just make another row, which is what I did. My 7th row ended up here, but then I just wanted it to be uniform with this side, so I just made an extra row of 1 row of half double crochets. I did not increase in there. I just slip stitched in there. I feel like it's going to be easier for the seaming instead of ending up here. So I'm just slip stitched into that next stitch or in the center, chained 1 and cut, and I'm gonna let the loose end lay here because this is the inside or the wrong side of the work. So after you're done, this is what your top should be looking like. I'm just gonna turn it right way around. So it's like that, and then I'm gonna have my collar lay correct. And just like that. So when we wear this is going to look so much better and more perfect. This can be cut off or weaved in on the wrong side, but so far this is what your crochet top should be looking like. So pretty and so cute. Can you look at that? I honestly cannot wait to put this top on. So if you still have some more sticky bits, be sure to cut them, like down here. Be sure to cut them and weave them in, and your crochet top is all done. I hope you liked it. If you did, that big thumbs up would be very much appreciated. Until next time, I'll see you in a bit.